Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jessica. I remain your host on this channel, Jess Signatures. In today's video, you'll be learning how to make this beautiful two-piece set. It's a ruched elastic skirt with a cowl neck top, and it is really beautiful, if I may say so myself. To all of my returning subscribers, I say thank you very much. You are the real MVPs. Thank you for always coming back. Thank you for always tuning in. If you're new to this channel, welcome and welcome. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Turn on the post notifications so you get notified whenever I post any new video. Let's get into today's tutorial. The first thing we'll do is to get the length of our skirt. Now, the length I used here is 58 inches. Yes, it's long because we need it to gather up, to ruche up. It depends on how much gathering you want. You can measure your length and then add whatever allowance you want. Depends on the gathering you want. Then for the width, I did 17 to 18 inches for the width. So now you understand why I did that when we start the video in full. So I decided to turn to the front of the fabric because we are going to be doing our sewing on the front, so it's better we do the markings on the front of the fabric. Now you can see that I left 2 inches sewing allowance on the back piece, so also do that because there will be zip allowance at the back. So I went ahead to measure my 9 inches for my hip length, and then I left half an inch at the top of my fabric and measured my waist measurement divided by 4, my hip measurement divided by 4 as well. I put them there, and then that my hip measurement, I took it straight down. Now you can decide to do that as well. Take your hip measurement straight down, or you can decide to reduce your hip measurement by 1 inch on the knee length, then you roll it down the way I later ended up to do, because I discovered doing it straight down, it will not have that hugging fit that I wanted. But if you want yours to have a loose fit, then you can leave it that way. They are both going to come out fine, depends on your preference. So as you can see, that's what I'm doing here. I'm just taking in that 1 inch, and because I already marked my knee measurement straight down, I'll have to minus that 1 inch as well, straight down all the way to the end again. So that's what I'm going to do. It's as simple as that. Like I said, you can decide to leave it at that your hip measurement, or you can decide to minus 1 inch or 1.5 inches. It depends on the stretch of the fabric. You can go ahead to minus even 2 inches if it's a really stretchy fabric. But because this fabric just has little stretch and I wanted it to hug my body, that's why I went ahead to, minus 1 inch. So guys, if you're watching this video and you're not subscribed to the channel, kindly subscribe. It will not cost you anything. All you need to do is click on that red subscription button, and there you go, you're subscribed. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it, and I'm very sure you're going to like it. So keep on watching and stay with me. Don't go anywhere, because this video is going to be very informative. Alright guys, after doing that, you go ahead and rule that line, and then after ruling the line, you now measure half an inch outside that line, not inside where you took your measurement, outside the line. That's towards the outer part or towards the side part of your dress. That half an inch, now you're going to stitch on that half an inch line and the first line that we drew, because we'll be using an elastic band for this. So just stick with me to the end to see how I did that. But for now, continue doing what I am doing. So guys, you can see now that, okay, because that other chalk was not really showing properly, I had to look for this chalk, and this is better, much better, if I may say. So I'm just highlighting the line downward, the half an inch line downward, which means I now have 2 lines. That's the blue line and the white line. So I'm going to sew on those 2 lines. So from that measurement, I'm just going to take out 7 inches from that measurement. Remember, we did 17 inches initially for our width. What I did was my hip measurement divided by 4 plus 7 inches. That was all I did. So you can decide, depending on how long you want that side frills or that side gather to be. That's the amount you will add to your hip measurement. Now you understand why we did 17 inches for our for the width of our fabric when we started. So I'm just ruling that 7 inches down, following the shape I have. I think I did that because it looks beautiful than you just ruling a straight line, and then than just ruling a straight line. It looks more beautiful this way by measuring it the way the shape is on the skirts. So do that, and I did that to the end and cut off the excess. Of course you have excess because I used my hip measurement plus 7 inches. So guys, after doing that, remember we left half an inch at the top of the skirt. Now we are going to notch down to that half an inch. That is, we will notch that half an inch down to the start point of our waistline. Remember there is an half an inch allowance on top of the skirt. Now that half an inch is what we are notching. Only the half an inch where your main measurement starts from. Do not notch, do not get to that point. That's why you see me carefully doing it so I don't overcut it, because if you're too anxious you could cut into your main skirt, which is not going to be pretty. Anyways, the same thing that you did on the front side, on the other side, on the one side, is what you're going to do on the other side. And that is why I fast forwarded the video, because we are doing exactly the same thing. If you don't understand, rewatch and see how I came about the measurement, and that's it. Why we are marking it on the other side is because we are sewing on both sides. That's why we're marking like that, because we're not cutting. If we were cutting, we don't have to mark there. Now you can see as I opened it, you can see the lines. We have 2 lines on this side, and obviously we have 2 lines on this other side as well. So we are going to sew it down, front and back facing each other, the way you sew your skirts normally. The only difference is you're sewing on the right side now. So now you can see that after joining it, you now have that frills right there. You now have that frills right there, and you can see that the lines are visible, everything is looking nice. And then this part is going to be where you will attach your zipper. Remember we left zipper allowance, don't forget about that. Now we'll stop here for the skirt and then go and start cutting the top before we continue for the skirt. Now for the top, the back piece is going to be a basic bodice. I have a video on how to make a basic bodice pattern on my channel. I have it linked to this video, so you can go watch that, or if you already know how to do that, you can continue from there. If you don't have a basic bodice block, you can draft from scratch. But because of this fabric is stretchy, I like using patterns when I'm working with really stretchy fabrics. And then my basic block was not as long as I wanted the top to be, so I went ahead to add the difference between the block and how long I want it to be. Now this is nothing special, it's just my preference. If you want yours to be short, if you want yours to even be a crop top, feel free to do whatever you want. Right here you just need to have your creative juices running. That's that about that. And I use the same pattern for the back and the front. You'll see how I do that in a jiffy. You just go ahead and cut the back piece, because yeah, we're done pinning down the patterns, and then after cutting it, you see we have our back piece ready, our basic block. Nothing special about it. Now to the main deal of why we are here, the cowl neck top. So we'll first of all trim out the armhole for the back. Remember I'm using the same pattern for the front and back, which means the armhole for the front has to be deeper, so I just have to trim it out. If you watch my tutorial, you will understand what I'm talking about here. And the neckline as well, I trimmed out the neckline for the front. So now I went up from my chest line I went up by 1.5 inches. I went up by 1.5 inches from my chest line, and I initially wanted to use that, but I wanted that gathering to fall down more. Now this line that you slash open is the place, the position you want the cowl to be, not how deep you want it to be. The position where you want that gathering to stop, that's how you would know the place to slash. So I wanted it to come on top of my bust, and that is why I'm doing it on my chest line there. Now after doing that, I'll get my fabric ready, fold into 2, because we'll be cutting the lower part on fold. So just watch what I'm doing in the video. It is actually self-explanatory, but of course I have to tell you exactly what I am doing. Now I'm just making sure to have that exact length that I had for the back in the front as well, because you don't want your front shorter than the back, except that's the design you're going with. So I just go ahead and pin it down, and you see what I do next. At this point, guys, please give this video a thumbs up, because when you do that, it will enable you to show this video to other YouTubers, other subscribers, and newbies like yourself. So now you determine how wide you want it to be. Now this is where you will determine the fall of your cowl, how open you want your cowl neck to be, if you want it high, if you want it low. Now if you want it high, you will not open it too long the way I'm opening this. So if you want it low like mine, the way it was on the thumbnail, then you open to this point. I opened about 7 inches. Now if you want it a bit covered more than mine, you can do about 4 inches, but 4 to 7 is kind of okay. Now after doing that, I'll go ahead and pin, and then when I finish pinning, I'll just confirm the measurements I have to be sure that everything is sitting properly. I'm just showing you that I took 7 inches on that side. So now I would get my ruler and my chalk, and I would rule a straight line from where that neckline, the width of my neckline, to the folded part of my fabric. I'll just rule a straight line. It doesn't matter if it's on top of this neckline, just from that width straight to the front. That's all you have to do. And then when you are done, you add your seam allowances where you need to add them. That is, I'm adding my seam allowance to my shoulder point, and I'm not adding to my armhole because I'm going to make this sleeveless. And then for the sleeveless, I need allowance to also sew it, and I want it to come in. That is why I'm not adding any allowance to the armhole. But if you'll be adding a sleeve, it's advisable that you add your own allowance, like half an inch is okay, and then you sew your sleeve. But here I'm not adding, so I go ahead and just cut off the top. So after cutting the top, what I'll do next is to notch the necessary areas. But before then, I want you to pay close attention to how I am cutting this upper part. It's not a biggie, it's not a big deal, but you need to also see how it's done so that you know how to do yours as well. So you can see after I cut it, I've gone ahead to notch where that allowance that I left on my shoulder point. So after notching it, I'll take out the pins and the patterns, and then we have our front piece all set. Now you can see when I open the beauty, you just see immediately the cowl neck is forming on its own. You don't have to do much. So at this point, you can go ahead and join if you're going to be using a bias strip to finish up the neckline and the armhole. Remember I said this my own is sleeveless, so I'm definitely going to finish the neckline and the armhole as well, because I'm not attaching any sleeve to it. But if you're not going to use a bias because you want it to have a clean finish the way mine appeared, it will just look professional, then keep on watching, because I'll show you how you cut a facing that will cut across the neckline and the armhole at the same time, and then still give you this cool effect on the inside of your fabric. Now you can see when I pin it together, it already looks like a cowl neck dress or a cowl neck top. So you can use this pattern that I just showed you for any of your cowl neck project that you're doing. So now you just fold your fabric in two, and you place the front or the back, this here is the front, on top of it, and then you just trace it out to where you want your facing to stop. Now after doing that, you can decide to rule a straight line like this, or you can decide to do what I did. What did I do? I went ahead to curve out the hem. It does two things. One, it beautifies the inside of your project, and two, it reduces bulk around that neckline because you want it to flow. It's a cowl neck. You want that flowy nature. You don't want to stop that flow, and that's why I did that. I'll do exactly the same thing for the back neckline as well. Now doing this, you just realize that you've solved the neckline finish and the armhole finish all at once at the same time. It's cool, right? Yes, I know. Try it and tell me in the comment section how it went. And also feel free to share your recreation with me on my social media handle, Jess Signatures, on Instagram, Raphael Jessica on Facebook. Now you can see how it's going to look on the inside. It's going to look so sweet and beautiful. Now I'll go ahead and bring the front piece, so I'll show you how you're going to do the closing. So it depends on you put it right side facing each other or right side facing wrong side, depends on what you want, and then you go ahead and sew it up. When you're done sewing, join the sides of the front and the back and hem it. That's all. I went ahead to loosen this one of the side so that it will just give it that slit effect, and I hemmed the slit part. That's basically that about this top. You can see the inside looking so nice, and then that curved hem, I went ahead to interlock it I went ahead to weave it basically. Now let's go back to the skirt because we are done with the top. You can see the skirt. I've gone ahead to close that back part because I did not put slit here, and I did not put any slit there for the lower part, which I would not advise you to do because it will make working a little bit difficult. So if you're recreating this, please put a slit there. Now that's that half inch that we cut that time, that we notch, you go ahead and close it up. And then when you close it up, you now attach your waistband. I have a tutorial on how to make a waistband on my channel as well. Now when you attach your waistband, that place where you have your double stitch, you leave it open. Then you go ahead and fold the hem of the frills, that's that side dangling thing. You go ahead and fold the edges and sew it. Now you see the allowance I said you would leave it there so that you'll be able to pass your elastic through. When you finish passing your elastic, then you can go ahead and close it with your waistband. You'll see that in a minute, don't worry. Now I went ahead to measure the length of my skirt. The length of the skirt I want was 40 inches, so I measured 40 inches. Remember, the full length of this fabric was 58 inches. So now I measured my 40 inches, and then I'm just going to pass in my elastic band. That's the 40 inches elastic band all the way to the top. Now the reason I did 40 inches is because that is the length of the skirt I want. If you want yours to be shorter, you do that as well. I have another video on this channel that is similar to this, but that one I used a drawstring. You can also check that out. Now when you bring it out, you would now use your elastic band, your waistband rather, to hold it down after joining it. So like after using your needle and thread or your sewing machine to match it down so that it will stay in place, then you just use your waistband to sew on it. You can see. After doing that, you go ahead and also hem the hold it down at the bottom part. You put your zipper and you are done with it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, let me know in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to this channel. I will see you in my next video. Until then, have a good morning, afternoon, or evening wherever you are or whenever this video finds you. Ciao.